So there was recently a question on a Discord server I'm in about who I use in Fire Emblem Heroes and their main purpose. So I'm going to talk about who I've invested a lot into and the purposes as to why I invested into them. So first of all, we've got Marth, and this is young Marth. He came around as a 4-star availability in a specialty banner. I'm not going to go too much into him because there are folks who missed that banner who may not get that opportunity until it's rerun in, I think, around late spring, early summer. But if you see him, I would invest in him simply because his rapier has Vantage 3 effect built into it and is effective against armored and cavalry foes. And you give him distant counter with that. It makes him very good for just nuking a lot of armor and cavalry, who are pretty big in the game. He's also got this special attack, which, right, you want him to be plus speed so that you get that extra boost on the damage. But it buffs all of your friends, so it's really good there. He's got chill defense because he attacks defense. Speed defense oath because we want his speed to max out. Extra defense gives him more survivability. If he had speed resistance oath, that could probably be good too, because that would give him a bit more versatility. I gave him speed smoke seal so that he can double more folks. But yeah, keep an eye out for him coming up. This is Henry, probably my favorite unit. And the thing is, I have a few different kits I run on Henry. First of all, the Corvus Tome is really strong because, you can read this effect. Since his attack stat is so low, they compensated by saying, well, if his attack is 3 points lower than his opponent's, then they're going to lose attack and resistance, and they're also going to lose a special cooldown charge, which is great because that means he's going to be out in front and just tanking all these hits. Attacking their attack means that helps him against folks who are melee, folks who do physical damage, and folks who do magic damage. And though he has decent mixed bulk, his defense is a lot better than his res. So that helps a lot for what he wants to do. You just put him on the front line and he takes care of everything. I have Red Dual Infantry 3 on him, but ideally you could also run a different kit on him. Like, this is a kit I use when I want to nuke folks. We give him Fortress Defense Res, which not only decreases his attack, but also increases his defense. So when he procs Ignis, he's just going to annihilate everyone. Brazen Defense Res means that he's going to get extra defense when his HP is below 80%. Res Smoke means that he's going to do more damage, and Mystic Boost helps him not die. I gave him Drawback because it's probably better than... I guess ideally he'd have reposition so that he could come up from behind someone who might be wounded, reposition them out, and then they could retreat. But really what I use Henry for is just tanking mostly and nuking second. So that's him. Aversa, I think, is one of the best units to invest in. This is kind of her PvE content build. So we've got Aversa's Knight. And this is huge because not only does it debuff folks when their HP is less than hers, but it also gives them a penalty effect, which is really big. Like, that helps not only her, but that helps everyone on the map. She also has guidance to help friends get out of danger. She has chill attack, which debuffs attack even more. And then she's got distant defense, helps her survive a bit more. You could realistically give her an HP buff seal here. She has Ether because this is like my max points build for her, for Arena. And she helps a lot for Arena, by the way. Because there's a lot of buff stacking there, so when you debuff them, it hurts them a lot. This is Claire. Claire's a bit less viable in the meta now, but when she was viable, she has the Ronfea. And what this does is it allows her to swoop in, double an armored unit, and then swoop out with Gale Force. So she's kind of a hit and run kind of unit. She also has Harsh Command Plus to help defend against panics or threatens or any debuffs. She has one specific purpose, and that's to attack. Well, she has three purposes. One is to neutralize armors or cavalry. 2 is to reverse debuffs. And 3 is to tank red or blue mages. She can even tank some green mages because of her high resistance. Unfortunately, her attack isn't incredible for a for someone with an armor effective weapon, and that kind of sucks a bit. But you give her aerobatics, she can get at danger with the Gale Force, and she can also help buff some allies, which is good. She helped a lot during the current Sonya map, which I'm very thankful for. This is who I used for that map. This one. So this is the lineup I used there, and Henry and Claire were definitely the MVPs. When I re-rolled my account, I got very fortunate to get a plus 10 Surtur, and you give him Special Fighter, Gale Force, Sinmara. Because his speed stat is so low, he almost always gets doubled. So Gale Force is going to proc, and he's going to run away if he's hurt, or he's going to finish the opponent off if he's not. And then, of course, Surtur's Menace and the Sinmara, like, just dunk on everyone. He's a really good... He was a really good unit. He's kind of dropped off in versatility as of late, but... you know, he still has his place in PvE content. And he's good for baiting out armors in Arena or Arena Assault. We got Barter. Nope, I want to keep you there. We got Barter, who is really just here to kill armored foes really hard, a lot. Because he's got super high attack. He's got an armor effective weapon. He's got infantry pulse, so he can also help Henry or Marth or Hawkeye or Matthew with their special cooldown. He has Chill Res, and I'll explain why later. But he also has Ether. I also gave him Bonfire or Ignis because of his extremely high defense stat. You could also give him Noontime to neutralize the effects of Acts of Virility because it deals 6 damage to the unit after each use because it's got Fury built in. You could also give him Double Fury. I don't recommend it because it really destroys his bulk, and if there are 2 fighters there, he doesn't really have a great way to get away. He doesn't have the speed to make himself a Gale Force unit, but with a plus speed IV here, it at least helps him to not get doubled as much. Like I said, his use is very niche, but what he does very, very well. Hawkeye's probably one of my favorite units here, because, well, there are a couple of different ways to use Hawkeye. So first of all, he's got LOL attack defense built into his weapon, which means if they're going to attack him, he's going to tank their blows because he's got very good mixed bulk. And defense helps compensate for his semi-low attack. He doesn't have an effective weapon against any particular movement or enemy type. And this is kind of more of a... This isn't the optimal build I run on him in Aether raids. Depending on the team setup, it's either this or I swap out Infantry Pulse for a Spur or Threaten buff / debuff. And part of this is because his speed stat is extremely low. It's really low. And mage speed stats tend to be rather high, especially if you're like Lute or Nino or anyone like that. Now, if you're Nino, you're fucked anyway because this is going to neutralize her bonuses to attack and defense. So that's bad. But he also has Quick Riposte and Noontime, which works very well for tanking. Situation goes, opponent attacks, he retaliates with Noontime, he heals. Opponent attacks, he retaliates with Noontime, he heals. And let's say someone like, probably not Lysithea, but someone like, what's her name? The annoying blue mage that everyone uses to nuke. Ophelia. Suppose Ophelia comes in with, like, Blazing Light or something. He's got 38 resistance, and when you consider Blazing Light, it does 1.5 times the attack against your opponent's resistance, which doesn't take into account any combat buffs or color buffs. So it's just doing straight damage. Meaning, if a blue mage does it against a green mage, it's going to do the same as if a blue mage did against a blue defender with a similar resistance. It just does attack minus resistance without factoring any color disadvantage. I also gave him Astra Blessing and double supports. This particular support is very good. And this is why I say that Mailcorn is one of the best units to invest into. Where is Mailcorn? I've invested into Mailcorn, right? Yeah. because his Yato gives support partners attack speed, defense, resistance +4. He can also go in with reposition and spur Reslink, which gives visible buffs for speed and resistance, and he can also give drive defense. So in total, you have 3 plus 3, that's 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. 10 plus 2. So it gets 12 extra defense, or 11 if he's within one space, and then a lot of attack speed and res as well, like 9 extra points. So he could be a great discount tank, especially since he's available at 3 and 4 star rarity. And then we've got some very specialty units here. I'm still working on making a +10 Fjorm. But these are good fighters to invest in because they're going to give you a lot of points and help on these specific seasons. Matthew is very fascinating because he used to be one of the game's worst units because he has like no attack. He was one of the weakest classes in the game. And now suddenly with a new weapon, he's incredibly good. So it does the Dagger 6 effect, decreases defense and resistance on the target and all foes within 2 spaces of the target. But his new weapon gives him a bonus to attack on penalties on the foe. So what that means is he moves in, he attacks someone, he gets the debuff going on them and 2 fighters, and fighters within 2 spaces. So then he can just sit there with advantage and close counter and just nuke everyone who comes in his way. He also has pulse smoke so that no one can hit him with like a special attack. He already had great defense and he has usable res, but honestly the usable res might be, I'm not gonna sugarcoat, that res sucks. But he has the speed to kind of compensate for that. Because while he might not double everyone, he does have Darting Blow, which gives him a chance to double on initiation. And then when everyone's debuffed and they come in, he nukes with Glimmer and Spy Stagger. So suppose you, even with this minus 6 debuff from here, that's an additional 12 attack. So he goes up to 58 attack. And then if you run him on a team with Barter, who's got the chill res, that's an extra 7, so he's up to plus 19 attack. You run him on a team with Aversa, who's got chill attack. Suddenly he's up to plus 26 attack, and he's increased his attack by nearly 50%, by over 50%. And that's actually ridiculous because he gets 62 attack. Like, imagine Barter, but instead of, he gets more attack than Barter. He gets more attack than Hawkeye. He gets like the most attack out of anyone. No. Whatever. He gets almost as much attack as Surtur. Just from, nope. I want him to say it. He gets nearly as much attack as Surtur just from using the Spy's Dagger in certain circumstances. Now, that being said, sometimes you want to pair him with a friend like Leela. Where are you, Leela? I have Leela at +1, right? I mean, if you know the Fire Emblem 7 lore, you know that Matthew and Leela were kind of more than just friends, but there she is. And you look at Leela, she pairs really well with Matthew. If Matthew's within 2 spaces of her, she initiates attack, debuffs everyone. He comes in, he cleans up. They're already debuffed, and Matthew turns into like the best nuke in the game. Now that being said, I tend to that extent, I tend to focus more on team composition than I do just straight out units. Because Matthew's good, but he's only good in specific circumstances. Same with Hawkeye, same with Barter, same with Aversa. So part of this is you want to focus on the game in more of a team or squad-based unit, how units synergize with each other, how you can get the best buffs, and how you have the best versatility for a given map, rather than maining a specific individual. Like, if that were the case, I'd just be maining Lonku all day. Like, look at this shit. He gets life and death on his blade. You know, you use that with attack speed solo because he's a goddamn loner. You use close call. He gets a little more tanky thanks to his speed. He used join home speed, and he gets like a ton of speed. So in all, he could get like an extra 11 speed, so he's up to 56 speed. That's a lot of speed. And that's going to reduce a lot of damage. It's pretty nice. Plus you give him Flashing Blade, Gale Force, he can... And the fact that he has a killer weapon, or a slaying weapon, means he can proc Gale Force on a unit that doesn't have melee range. So he attacks, he gets the hit, and he retreats. It's a very similar strategy to Claire, except he doesn't have effective damage on armored or cavalry. So he's kind of more of a... I don't want to call him a mage killer, because he's going to get in there, he's going to kill slow or moderately fast mages, and then get out. Fortunately, Close Call has a hit and run effect built into it. So he attacks, he moves 1 space away, and then he retreats from Gale Force. Someone else repositions him. Or like Est, she's just here to kill armors in a setup with 2 flying allies. That's really her only use. And she can tank mage attacks and can debuff. Who else? Jamka. He's a similar build to Hawkeye. He gets in there. Close counter means he can attack 1-2 range. He's a really good unit for taking care of multiple mobs of folks. Cecilia's just there to tank things. Like, look at that res stat, that's ridiculous. Defense ploy helps compensate for her low attack. Lethal Carrot helps compensate for her low attack. Soul helps compensate for her low attack with giving her extra survivability. Fierce Stance. Her attack's really low, but she can She can tank well. She has low speed and special fighter. So sometimes you can switch out the fierce stance with like quick riposte or something. And then we got Felicia. Felicia has just a few jobs here. Debuff, of course. Use a feint skill. So she's going to debuff res. And that synergizes pretty well with her plate here, since it calculates the lower of defense or resistance. And then she's got ether, just because this is her max score setup. And there's not a whole lot else to say about Felicia. She has one job, and she can do it well. She can't sustain any attacks from... she can't sustain any melee attacks. Her bulk isn't excellent. Her attack is even lower than Henry's under certain builds. Keep in mind that this Fortress Defense res decreases his attack by 2. So those are probably the units I use the most in Fire Emblem Heroes. I'm also working on building some other free-to-play units, like, where is she? She's Sylvia. Now, Sylvia has the highest HP out of any dancer, so if you give her Infantry Pulse, she can really be a good boon to your team. Seth works well for one purpose only. You give him the Silver Brand, you give him an Axe Breaker, and you give him Hardy Bearing, and he can kill Brave Ike. That's really his only use in the current meta, which sucks because Seth deserves a whole lot better. Jacob was someone I kind of invested in. He doesn't quite work out as well on paper. Not a whole lot else to say there. Leaf is Leaf. He goes in, he doubles, and he moves out. But as you can see, I have a whole lot of fighters here. Some of them I'm not gonna completely build, and that's a shame because some of these folks are really... they're really good characters. One character I'm specifically kind of sad I'm not gonna build out too much is, where is he? Where are you, Kanos? Do I even have Kanos? I don't have Kanos at 5-star. Because I didn't want to waste my feathers. Yeah, they really did Kanos dirty in this game. They did Urk super dirty. And, oh yeah, one other fighter I use a whole lot is Tibarn. If you can see any banners coming for Tibarn, I would get on those immediately because, you know, he's not even at any merges right now. But Sturdy Impact means he... it works well with Hawking Claw. Because it makes a guaranteed follow-up attack if he's attacking someone at 100% HP. And they can't follow up with Sturdy Impact on an engagement, which means it's okay if he has a speed flaw, because he's going to double anyway and they're not. Then he's got Gale Force with Heavy Blade, which means he's going to most likely proc Gale Force on an engagement. He's a really good and, once again, niche fighter. So I guess part of the advice I'd give for, you know, thinking of fighters to build is notice that there's a pattern here. 3 or 4 star rarity, 3-4 star rarity, 4 to 5 star rarity, so a bit less of an investment. I mean, so a bit more of an investment. You know, this one costs chalices, 3 4-star rarity, 3 4-star, 3 4-star, 3 4-star, chalices. So a lot of these are fairly inexpensive to build, or obtain. Some of the things that they need to build are like, you know, premium items. But if I'm going to invest, if I'm going to think forward about folks to invest in, I'm going to look at 3 and 4-star fighters rather than a lot of the newer 5-star units. And that kind of works for Fire Emblem Heroes, as opposed to other gachas. So that's just a rundown on who I use and why I choose to use them, and the philosophy behind something as to unit philosophy in Fire Emblem Heroes. If you'd like me to go a little more in depth into team building, leave a comment below, and you know, we can go into that. But yeah, this was half an hour. A little longer than I expected to be talking about my units, but something I think is pretty important. So yeah, that's all for now. Thanks.